like to call to order the June 12th regular meeting of the Waxhaw Board of Commissioners. At this time, if you would all stand with us and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. As to adoption of the agenda, Commissioner Lee has requested that items
6, 8, and 9 would work.
So items C6, C8, and C9 be moved to the under new business, and so they will become H5, H6, and H7. Do we have any C6, C8, C9? Do we have any other changes to the agenda, modifications? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the revised agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. Okay, we have no public comments. Nobody signed up for public comments, so we'll move to the revised consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the revised consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, Billy Sellers, Safety Award. Welcome, Billy.
How you doing? I will be very brief. Me and Mr. Ferguson attended the Safety Health Council Safety Awards a couple weeks ago, and we had the privilege to be there and to attendance. And I got 2 safety awards. One goes to the Town of Waxhaw Police Department for the 8th consecutive year of gold for the outstanding accomplishments in the SHARP program. And Chief's a milestone in this program. He is very dedicated to the safety and health programs for the town, and it's my honor and privilege to be able to work with you to concede and strive to be better each and every year. Congratulations, sir. The second award goes to, of course, the town of Waxhaw in general. This one is the 7th consecutive year gold award. It shows that with the OSHA aspects of it, that we are very serious and keeping our employees safe for day-to-day activities and making sure that we have everything to the employees' hands. And the administration is very cooperative with us, with me being the safety coordinator, and we do a lot of work with OSHA. They come down here at least 4 times a year to check this facility, police department, and all the facilities in the town. And I really do appreciate the cooperation from Mr. Matthews, Dina, Chief, Mr. Ferguson, and this board, and all the department heads, the admin, everybody, and the employees. It takes a lot of resources to continue this program to be effective and be more efficient every year. But I would like to extend my gratitude to every department head and everybody in the town for this accomplishment.
Billy, let's just also, on behalf of the board, we extend our gratitude to you. It takes leadership to pull this together, and we thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
next up, and I don't know how you kids are going to do it, but you're going to tell us what happened out in Ames, Iowa with the World Championship Odyssey of the Mind. Come up and share your experiences. So Kensington Elementary School and Cuthbertson Middle School students, come on up. Come on, don't be bashful. Come on. Come on.
My name is Amy Miller. I'm the coach of Odyssey of the Mind for the elementary school team. There's several teams, but if you were here, sometime in May at the town hall meeting, you know that my team, along with Maria Taylor, who's the coach of the middle school team, got first in regional, second in states, and we moved on to worlds in Ames, Iowa. Our two teams got to compete. Odyssey of the Mind is the world's largest creative thinking competition in the world. These kids had to go up against several teams. My team, I believe, went up against 72 teams, and Maria's, I think you were 76 teams. And we just wanted to tell you, because you've supported us, this is our third year now. It's been pretty amazing, and you've supported us all these years, and we've never really come back to tell you how much fun we have and what it's about. And so we got our act together this time, and we were wanting to share that with you. So starting with, I guess, Maria, you're next, right?
Yeah. So if you could get like one slide.
Oh, you got
That's that one. This is like at the beginning of the festival, they have a creative festival, and that was the Lands. So why OM? And we actually are big believers in OM because it teaches kids life skills, and they start with nothing, and they create a script, a set, costumes to solve like a long-term problem. This year, all these kids were in outer space, and they had to have like they had to be in pursuit of a treasure or have a treasure. And one of them had like some magic golden disco boots that they were after, and another one that was after a get out of jail free card. So that sort of gives you an idea of the kind of crazy characters they were. Here are the two of the costumes up here. One was what was your name?
Fiona.
Yes. Your character. That was Squeaker. Yeah, so you have the next slide. So Kevin, why don't you share how the teams compete?
Yeah, okay, so we form teams of 7, and we basically create a skit to perform in front of judges against, in our case, 75 teams. And so it's actually a lot of preparations. We had a budget of $125, and it was really hard to meet that budget because we had to use recycled materials and like materials we find in the house. Like my costume was made completely out of candy wrappers. We used candy wrappers. So you know,
Pistachios for mine.
yeah, she used pistachios. Real life pistachios. So yeah, you can. Oh, we have all these crazy materials that we use, and in OM we call it creativity.
Or dumpster diving.
That too. Goodwill's our best friend. So yeah, and we also have spontaneous, which is basically the judges take you into a room, closed room, and then they basically give you a problem. Like for example, your problem is to take this object from point A to point B using only the materials given. So in a real life scenario, you can see how much that would help, because in real life you won't be given perfect materials. You need to make do with what you have, which is why OM teaches you those life skills to better understand how to do that in real life.
The World Finder is.
So could one of you, the adults, hold the microphone in front of the child? That way everybody online can hear you.
Hold it down.
Thank you.
No, right up to your mouth.
So. Okay. So in the 2018 World Finders were in Ames, Iowa, Iowa State University, and we all of my teammates and the Cupperson teammates, we flew on a plane with one of our parents, and our sets traveled in a truck together to Iowa.
It's a big journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Where's
is.
it gonna be next year?
Next year it's gonna be at Michigan State University.
All right, so I was Amy's co-coach. My name is Autumn, and I had no idea the kind of sets that were involved with this process. I was thinking, something like a retractable map, something that was going to be easily transportable, and Amy kept talking about these trucks and the rentals and everything that was involved. And parents are not allowed to give their input. This is all student-driven. And they would build as large as our trailer could contain. So we had an enormous furniture box that they made a DJ booth out of because we had a disco theme. And our set just kept growing. We had PVC pipe structures, and thank goodness they capped it at the end of May, because we would have kept going and going and going. But we had to rent trucks to get our set to each location, to regionals, to states, and then to worlds. And each time our students diligently fundraised to help raise the money to get to those locations.
Well, I was gonna say, and then at the after picture, after the kids perform at Worlds, we cannot afford to bring our set back, nor do Autumn and I ever want to see another CD ever, because their set was completely made out of CDs. There's probably 1,000 CDs in our set. But what do we do afterwards, Fiona, when we're done with performing?
Afterwards, thank you again. Afterwards, we get to take our set out through those doors in the picture. There's Jack. But you take it out, and you have to break your set and throw it into the dumpster, so you don't have to take it home. And I remember we were like jumping on our set, trying to break it, because our first concern was to make sure our set wouldn't break. But now we realized that it was so strong it could not break. It took forever.
Eloise.
So for opening ceremonies, we went to the Hilton Coliseum, and it was the 39th annual competition. There were 835 teams, and that equals roughly 5,300 students competing. And in total, there were 20,000 attendees from 39 states and 28 countries all around the world.
If you look at that slide, you can see that that Coliseum is jam-packed. And Iowa State is a big university. They kind of set it up like the Olympics. So in the opening ceremonies, they have representatives from each state and each country carrying their flag out. It takes forever. By the end of that, you're like, ready to go to bed. But that's how many people are there competing. And that right there with all the lightsabers, that's the North Carolina. Everybody in North Carolina that went is there.
Yeah, we do town halls.
And then there's our kiddos with their lightsabers. Again, you can see how many people are part of this amazing opportunity. Heidi, this is your day.
So, in addition to performing, this is about spontaneous. And in spontaneous, you are put in a room without your coaches. They stay outside. And you go in, and you're either given 3 different types of problems. One of them is called combo, which is verbal and hands-on. Another one is verbal, and then the other one is hands-on. And so you're given materials like straws and paper and scissors and whatever. And then you, for one of the hands-on things, we had to build a structure. And so,
Okay, so you went in there without your coaches.
Yeah.
It's scary.
and then once you're finally over, you follow there's going to be a person leading you around. And so you follow them, out the doors, and you get silly stringed. So while the coaches aren't in there, they're outside armed with silly string.
We get them good.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
All right, Natalie.
Okay, I'll start. So, all the different teams, all the states and countries, they all make their pins, so when they go to Worlds, we can all pin trade. And some pins are, when you get there, a lot of people like certain types of pins for that 1 year, so they're harder to trade for. We had a pin where it was a dragon, and a lot of people wanted it, so we could get really cool pins for that one. Natalie's just going to show you her pin towel, or Eloise's pin towel.
Natalie, why don't you share what your favorite pins
Can you turn it this way too so we can see it?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Look like.
You might recognize that one.
Yeah, I do recognize that one. That's great.
We're armed with Waxhaw.
My favorite pins to get are the international ones. I got some from South Korea and China. And while you're there, a lot of the teams will actually try to sell them to you. Walk around and they'll say, for that pin, $5. In the language barrier, sometimes they won't know if you either want to pin trade or not. So you'll have to ask the coach, hey, I don't want to pin trade, or you do. So, or if you actually want to sell that pin. There was this one kid that actually came up to me and said, hey, $20 for this one pin. will you trade $20 for that pin? Of course I didn't say yes, but
That wasn't the Waxhaw pin, was it?
yeah, you get to meet a lot of people from around the world.
So, Kensington Elementary School, how did y'all do?
What do we do?
What did we do?
We got fourth in the world.
And Cuthbertson Middle School, how did y'all do?
We got 9 out of 76.
You can see that, well, their set, how intricate it is and what they did and all the different characters and the costumes. Every one of those were made by the kids. Adults are not allowed if there's any outside of interference. And after they finish performing, there's like 12 judges that rush them and start asking them questions because they're trying to get out of them that some adult cut that piece of wood or, sewed that costume for them. If they find out that these judges are good, if there's any outside interference, you get penalized. Will you back up one slide so you can see our set? And then this was our set, which was a disco. So we had some crazy costumes too. And again, every one of those were done by the children alone. So you can see what an amazing time they have putting this together and solving these problems and creating these costumes and why we're always in here pushing it. What? You want to tell them about the disco? Okay.
So, does that mean that we'll see you back here next May?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't know. I mean, obviously, it's our hope, but we just got this, we have these amazing kids who get it. And so they know what needs to be done. We always say, what do we say, Claire? Do you remember? Don't leave. Can you say that a little bit louder?
Don't leave anything on the table.
That's right. When we
You
get
go.
up there to perform, we don't leave anything on the table. And these kids know it, and they know that's what it takes to win. And it's tough because there's a lot of competition in North Carolina. So it's amazing.
Well, listen, thank you for coming back and sharing with us. We are delighted to support you, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Kids, I know it's like the first or second day of summer, so you don't feel like you have to stay and watch the rest of the meeting. you have other things to do. Okay, next up, we're moving into the public hearing phase, and the first public hearing is for petition TA 007228-2018. It's a request to amend section 11.3.4 of the UDO regarding animal shelter, and our presenter is Tim Jones. So welcome, Tim, and I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners. Trying to find out which microphone I need to get to my face. Let's see here. This is a text amendment request to amend the existing Waxhaw Unified Development Ordinance section for animal shelter, animal kennels, animal hospital. The applicant is requesting separation from adjacent property owners and not from a street right-of-way. The current language in the UDO, section 11.3.4, states any structure which houses animals for an animal hospital or animal shelter which is not fully enclosed, and all animal runs shall be located at least 100 feet from any lot line and 300 feet from any pre-existing principal residential structure located on another lot. That's the existing language. The proposed language, and I'll just read the end section there. All animal runs shall be located at least 100 feet from any lot line, and then the added text, excluding lot lines at the public street right-of-way. Here is a image that depicts the requirements in UDO section 11.3.4 for animal shelters, kennels, and hospitals. That's the image on the top, is the current setbacks. Let's see here. And I'm pointing here with my laser pointer. The 300 feet to a house, that's shown, but then what they want to change is the 100 feet. The setback depicted in red in the image below is the proposed. Requested change, and it's still, it affects setback from the right-of-way. Staff supports text amendment TA 007228, 2018. Our support is based on the research that we looked at for the proposed text amendment setback excluding the street right-of-way. It's consistent with comparable communities that we looked at for that had distance requirements. Planning Board recommendation at their May 21st regular meeting, the Planning Board voted 5-1 for a favorable recommendation of the petition. They voted 5-1 to approve the staff's recommended reasonableness and consistency statement. The requested action is to approve the petition as presented or to deny the petition. Although tonight you may be
next
closing. And then when you make the decision, you'll also make a decision on reasonableness and consistency statement. So.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Jones? Commissioner Burrow?
Just one, Tim. Sure. Why do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea because there's still setbacks in place, and there's really no additional definition in there for setbacks.
And we've seen communities do it in multiple ways. And so we didn't see it as an unreasonable request. And
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Westlake?
I'm just trying to understand why we would exclude from right-of-way. That just doesn't make sense to me. I know you're saying that there's other language already, setback language, but what would it look like? So you're saying a run could be put up all the way to the,
I can go back to the graphic.
yes.
That you're asking. Yes, a run could be measured when looking at planning for a kennel facility or animal hospital, and the ordinance is focused on this outdoor run that's in the facility. And so existing setbacks still are in place. So even though the 100 feet can move the facility closer to a street right-of-way, it still can't exceed setbacks, the existing setbacks that are on the property. Just the even like for residential, for homes, there's still the 300 feet that's in place to cover residential distances. So we're not really removing the setback from properties, we're just not considering a setback from a street, because it's already covered by existing setbacks for the property.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee? Commissioner Stewart? Mayor Pro Tem?
What other communities you said that were comparable that you looked at? What were they that you looked at?
It's the table in the packet. Let's see here. We looked at several communities. We looked at Huntersville. We looked at Garner, and also Pineville. And we looked at 10 communities total, but those were the closest that we found with similar conditions.
You mentioned that one planning board voted to the negative. What was the reasoning given?
Yeah, let me pull up my notes here. Yeah, board member Shelton dissented on the case, stating that business setbacks and right-of-way are there for a reason, and that there are localities that have setbacks in place currently.
Thank you. We have no one signed up for public comments. Any additional questions before we close the public hearing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. We have a motion to close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tim.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is public hearing on Belle Shire Conditional District Rezoning Request Petition CD 006955-2018. This is a request by Queen City Land for a rezoning from R4 to CDR4 PRD on the property located at Waxhaw, Marvin Road, and Helms Road. And with us today is Alex Beasting, and so welcome. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Great, so I'll be presenting on case CD 006955-2018. You should notice that you were given 11 by 17 plan sets. So I caught a calculation error in the previous plan that you were given in the packet, so this packet in front of you reflects that change, and so the only difference is page 2. So Queen City Land is requesting to rezone 31.63 acres from R4 to CD R4 PRD, which is conditional district single-family residential, planned residential development. The site is located on Helms Road and Waxhaw Marvin Road. The proposed 105 lot development would be called Belle Shire and consist of 64 single-family detached and 41 single-family attached dwellings. This is an aerial of the property showing Waxhaw Marvin along the northern boundary and Helms Road running along the western boundary. The CSX lines run along the south property line. As I mentioned, it's currently zoned R4. There's a part of Union County to the west, and R3 is to the north and east. And the future land use map shows that it is G3 intended growth sector residential. So this is a proposed preliminary plan. So again, Waxhaw Marvin along the north and Helms along the west. There is a 10-foot dedication along Helms Road. Their attached dwellings are to the interior of the property, right there. And the pond that I showed on the aerial is remaining as an amenity on the property there. There would be sidewalks added both along Helms and Waxhaw Marvin Road, as well as both sides of the interior sidewalks and roads there. So again, it's a proposed rezoning from R4 to CD, R4 PRD, consisting of attached and detached dwellings. As the community is age targeted, a TIA was not required, but road improvements are subject to NCDOT permits and town standards. So a planned residential development allows for the clustering of homes in order to provide open space and protect environmentally sensitive areas by allowing for a reduction in lot size in the R4 zoning district. So I put up this table so you could see what they would be allowed to do as they're currently zoned R4 versus what they're proposing to do as CD R4 PRD. So as you can see, by right, the standard R4 requirements are a 12,000 square foot minimum lot size. The CD R4 PRD would allow them to reduce lot size, and here the minimum is 6,630 square feet. Attached dwellings are not allowed in R4 districts as it is a straight zoning, so that is a consideration as being part of the PRD. You're also, because the CD R4 PRD, they don't increase the lot yield, so 108 units would be developed under the by right straight R4, and that is exactly what they would be allowed to do under the CD R4 PRD, so they can't increase lots, and actually they're proposing 105, which is under that maximum lot yield that they could do. So open and tree-safe areas are to be owned and maintained by the HOA, and many trees are proposed to be saved with additional street and lot trees planted. I showed you here how it's broken down, so 3.07 acres are for buffers, and that includes the tree preservation buffer and roadway buffer. 3.86 acres are for internal tree save, and 5.8 acres are for open space, and that the overall site again is 31.63 acres. An active recreation area is proposed by the entrance on Waxhaw Marvin Road, and I highlighted it there for you. This is the tree survey, so I just wanted to show you how many trees are on the site now and how many would be planted. So if you can kind of see this darker, more solid gray area, that's the tree save, so existing trees on the site would be maintained and they would fill in that also to meet the requirements, in addition to street trees and perimeter trees that would be required per our UDO. So 2 entrances are proposed into the subdivision on Helms Road and Waxhaw Marvin Road, as well as a 300-foot enhanced left turn lane, which consists of 100 feet of taper, 100 feet of deceleration, and 100 feet of stacking. Sidewalks will be installed along Helms Road, Waxhaw Marvin Road, and both sides of interior roads. There's a 5-foot sidewalk currently existing along Waxhaw Marvin Road. That's going to remain in place, but they've also put on a 10-foot multi-use trail along Waxhaw Marvin Road, as that area is part of the Carolina Thread Trail, so that would provide a good amenity for users of the Carolina Thread Trail. And a 10-foot right-of-way dedication is proposed along the extent of the property line on Helms Road to accommodate for proposed future widening. Water and sewer connections are governed by Union County Public Works. These are illustrations of the single-family detached elevations and the options that would be available. And these are the townhome elevations and their color boards provided. So staff recommends approval of the proposed conditional district rezoning from R4 to CD R4 PRD, subject to the following conditions: that all proposed dwellings for this development will comply and adhere to the architectural requirements of Section 20. As an element of the conditional district's part of the rezoning, that allows us the mechanism to ask for the 10-foot dedication as well as the multi-use trails that would not be subject if it was just by right. We wouldn't be able to ask for that mechanism. So at the May 21st, 2008 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted to send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, which included 5 affirmative and 1 recusal. So as this is the public hearing, the future upcoming decision meeting, these are the requested actions for a motion to approve with the following conditions and a reasonableness and consistency statement. So the applicant is here and has prepared a presentation, so he'll come up right now.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Commissioners. My name is Eddie Moore with McAdams. We are the civil engineering and land development group. We are assisting Mr. Carl Folkler. He is the applicant with Queen City Land on this petition. Just a couple of high points as Alex has gone over a few. I'm going to try not to say the same items again. Back in 2015, property was annexed into Waxhaw and it was granted R4 zoning. Our request is to keep it R4, but as a CD plan and a planned residential development. The base R4 zoning, this site will yield up to 108 lots. And in taking that, we take the 12,000 square feet and divide that into the site minus the pond, and that comes out to 108, and we are only proposing 105 lots, 64 being single family and 41 being townhomes. So as part of this, we're not asking to increase any density. We are staying density neutral and actually a little bit under what R4 could permit based off of the existing lot size. This will be an age-targeted design community, and I'll go into that a little bit further in the presentation. The site is 9/10 of a mile from the intersection of Highway 16 and 75. This is very close to downtown, and there's an existing sidewalk that runs all the way from this property to the middle of downtown. Existing pond that will remain as an amenity, and it's about 1.5 acres, and we're going to provide a walking trail that'll connect two portions of the development when I get to the site plan. And over 28% of the site will be active and passive recreation that'll be maintained by the Homeowners Association. I have a couple slides just kind of giving a little view of what's on the property. The area to the right, there's a picture to the right, that is, there are several areas of dumpings that are on the property, and the picture on the left is along Helms Road, and this is another picture taken from the property itself along the Helms Road corridor. And again, the property is within the intended growth sector of the comprehensive plan. We'll have water and sewer from Union County Public Works, and we are definitely at the fringe of the town limits, or within the town limits, and 9/10 of a mile away from the center of downtown. So we are meeting the intent of the comprehensive plan. Here's a color rendering of the plan, and this shows the 64 single-family lots that will be along the perimeter of the development. Here's the existing pond that will remain. And we have the townhomes, the 41 townhomes that are internal to the site. You can see the street trees that are proposed along Waxhaw Marvin and along Helms Road. The path, it's a little hard to see, but the path will come around this portion of the pond and connect the only cul-de-sac that we have into the development to this stub street here. So there will be a full pedestrian connectivity network that will increase what's existing along Waxhaw Marvin Road and come further down Helms Road. And there's an existing stub street to the east that will stay at this point in case if this property to the east does redevelop. And there are two entrances for the development, and we are required by DOT to put in a left turn lane along Waxhaw Marvin Road. Just a couple of highlights. These will be single-story homes with the opportunity to go up to 1.5 stories. All lawn maintenance for all of the lots, not just the townhomes, but the single-family homes. That will be paid through the HOA dues. And these are two homes that are existing in another development. These are the same models, and you can see what they do look like on the ground today. And the picture at the bottom left is an interior of a typical unit. These are open-spaced, very open units, and a lot of amenities to choose from. The developer and the builder is targeting empty nesters for this development. And when you hear the term age targeted, it is through design, and all these homes are designed for age targeted folks. What that means is that the master is on the first level. These are one-story homes with the option to go to 1.5 stories if the buyer decides to choose. A lot of people in this area, and also other municipalities that are growing, follow their children. And it's amazing of the people that I've come in contact with as to where they've moved to this area as a family or have created a family themselves, and the parents have followed. And this type of housing is definitely needed, not just here in Waxhaw, but within the overall region. In empty nesters, they do not have much impact on local schools, virtually none. And also from a transportation standpoint, they typically try to stay away from the high peak areas, travel times in the morning and the afternoon to do their shopping around town. This is an interesting graphic that's taken from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. This is a group that not only consultants but municipalities use in providing trip generations based off of land uses. There are 3 just simple bar graphs that compare age-targeted developments versus traditional single-family developments. And here, in a 24-hour trip of typical developments, and during the AM and PM peak hours, that this type of housing provides 70% less trips than your typical single-family developments. Some of the community enhancements, there will be entry features as you do come into the development, sidewalks, street trees. There will be landscaping and benches along the park and the open spaces and the walking trail that we talked about earlier. There will be an active amenity as well. As you do come in off of Waxhaw Marvin Road, there's an open space that's there. It will have a clubhouse, it will have a large kitchen, some flex spaces, a small little recreation area, and it will also have either a pickleball or bocce ball court behind the facility. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
We'll address questions to both of you, if that's okay. Commissioner Burrow?
Sure, a couple of them for both of you.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Yes, sorry. We had an applicant here last month with a similar type product, and one of the things that they worked out with the staff were some modifications to the covenants and restrictions that really pretty much limited the houses to seniors. No basketball courts, no play equipment, that kind of thing. Has that been discussed with you guys?
The applicant at this point does not want to restrict the covenants to a 55 or older.
No, we understand that.
I can take that question.
Okay,
So
sure.
I'm Carl Folkler. Nice to meet you guys. I'm owner of Queen City Land. We are prepared to do exactly what we did that last time.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. The age target thing is that we're going to do all the things we talked about before. And I think Kat had a good point last time about the reason lot size we're going to do smaller, because it will kind of, the people with family are going to want the smaller lot size anyway. So we're willing to do everything that we talked about last time.
And then, since these are being built somewhere else, can you give us an idea what the average sales price is?
The single-family homes, they will start in the 250s and go up to the 300s. And for the townhomes, they will start in the 200s up to $250,000 range.
Thank you.
Commissioner Westlake?
I really don't have any questions. I just want to clarify for the public. So when this property was rezoned in 2015 and approved for R4 housing,
It wasn't rezoned, it was annexed in.
rezoned. R4, which means they can, by right, build homes on this property. So regardless of whether or not we say yes to this PRD, they would still be able to build homes with the original design, correct? correct, which was, I think, townhomes at the time? Is that, I think was,
No. It's single
it was single family, okay. So I just want to make that clear to the public that this is a by right, regardless of what we do here, there will be homes built on this property.
Okay. Commissioner Lee? Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem? We do have,
Excuse me, I have one more question I would like to ask, and it would be of Alex. Going from R4 to R4 PRD, is that an advantage to the town of Waxhaw?
The CD, R4 PRD absolutely is. We can impose the conditions through the CD.
could you speak into the microphone?
Sorry. We can impose conditions through the conditional district element, so that's where we're getting that 10-foot dedication, the multi-use trail, and also we get to regulate the architectural standards. We would not have the mechanism to do so otherwise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, sir. Sir, please respect the rules of order here. We do have 3 people signed up for public comments. You can step aside. First up is Scott Whitaker. Thank you. Not here. I'll be honest, I cannot make out. Huh? Family of Scott Whitaker? And you don't wish to speak to it? Okay. Which one of you is speaking? Okay, so you're going to speak for the family.
You want to speak?
Okay. Please just identify yourself and your address.
I'm Matt Whitaker.
Okay.
I live on Applewood Lane, which is adjacent to the property.
Yes, sir.
And I'm for the community. I'm for Belle Shire all the way. I'm from the surrounding area. I've lived in Waxhaw all my life, up until about 5 years of age. It's going to bring growth, and it's going to be great for business. I also own a business in the town, and 55-plus communities are all about, supporting local businesses. So I'm all about the community coming. I think it's also going to encourage potential growth to the other side of Helms Road at some point, and maybe other adjacent properties, and that's going to bring more revenue to the town in taxes. So I think the town would be all in favor of that. I can't say anything bad about it. I'm excited. It's going to increase my property value. I'm for that. And I live in a modular home, so I can say that the house is on Helms Road. Maybe at some point they'll all be increased. I'm for that. So.
Thank you very much. And thank you, family.
Thank you.
Final speaker, Edwin Elam.
To the Mayor of Waxhaw, to the Mayor Pro Tem, to the Commissioners, to the Town Manager, Town Clerk, and the Interim Town Attorney. Vivi Miller, who was born here many, many years ago, saw this town grow, and it is really exciting to see what we are seeing at the Belle Shire product. It has been the gateway for many of the persons who also live along that corridor, who will also enjoy greater housing at some time in the future. But many of the events and everything, of course, we heard the presentation from the kids. She's a Michigan State graduate, so we might go to the event that the kids had for next year. We are in support of this particular project because in the last year and a half, almost 2 years, we have sat in this meeting and we have learned of these gentlemen who are doing this particular project. Know them to be good men, know them to be great family men, know them to be active in the community, and know them to have a great product. So we're excited for not only our own part of the community, but for this part of the community and the family members and those individuals that we know who live in that particular geographical area. This will be a tremendous boom for Waxhaw. It answers the tax need, as the gentleman said prior to me speaking, but it also gets a bargain for the town because of some of these meetings that we have sat in. It has been promised for sidewalks for this corridor of our town, and those sidewalks have never been placed in. But with this developer being there as a responsible developer, the town gets the sidewalks and to be able to deliver on a promise that it has not fulfilled for sidewalks for that part of our community. So again, if you brought Vivi Miller out tonight and we're both out here tonight, you know it's serious. We love this particular product. We love what we're seeing in our community as it's growing, and we want to say Godspeed.
Thank you. With that, that's all we have signed up for tonight. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I have one question?
Sure.
You said there was one vote from the planning board that did not agree with this. Can you tell me why?
It was actually a recusal, so because of a conflict
Oh,
of
okay.
interest, they couldn't vote. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Actually, can you clarify also the PRD? What you explained to me yesterday when we talked about this was it's clustering the homes to allow for more green space, correct? So by doing the PRD, we're actually getting more green space and more trees. Is that correct?
Yes, so instead of there's just a straight 2,000 or 12,000 square foot minimum, that would, imagine it being like blocks, you can minimize them and push them and cluster them together so you could preserve all the open tree space.
Okay, so we're actually getting more green space.
More green space and open space in the community.
Thank you.
Any final questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, next up is is a public hearing. We've had a glitch with this. This is a public hearing on Millbridge Major CUP Amendment. The glitch is we had a late call this afternoon from the applicant who had a situation come up and they cannot be here. And they respectfully requested that we open and then recess to 2 weeks from today, correct?
Yes, correct.
So at this point in time, this is a public, we will go forward with opening the public hearing. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing on Millbridge Major CUP Amendment 7238-2018.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would at this point in time also entertain a motion to recess to Tuesday, June 26th at 6:30 p.m. in the Police Department Community Room. Yes, sir.
Real quick, Mr. Mayor, the statute says it may be continued once it's open. I would use the word continued instead of recess.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on June 26th at 6:30 p.m. here in the Police Department Community Room.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And thank you for that. Okay. We're now on to new business. Item 1, Belle Shire Major Subdivision Petition SUB 006956-2018. Alex, please come forward.
Hello again. All right, so this is SUB 006956-2018. All this information will be the same, but just as a refresher, Queen City Land is requesting a preliminary subdivision approval as case SUB 006956-2018 for an 105-lot single-family subdivision on 31.63 acres. It will be composed of 64 single-family detached and 41 single-family attached. And this is the subdivision plan, which is identical to the proposed preliminary plan I presented in the conditional district. And again, the single-family detached elevations are the same, as well as the townhome elevations. Staff recommends approval of the proposed Belle Shire subdivision. Belle Shire is consistent with the UDO requirements, 2016 Comprehensive Plan Policy Bridge Document, and future land use map designation of G3 intended growth and the surrounding zoning uses. The proposed subdivision is compatible with future land use and planning goals of the town of Waxhaw, and the request is reasonable and in the public interest. So on May 21st at the regular meeting, the planning board voted to send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, again with 5 affirmative and 1 recusal. So with that, the requested actions would be to approve or deny at the following meeting.
And tonight is informational only.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any additional questions for Alex from the board? Thank you very much. Next item, North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources grant for Downtown Park. Dina Sabinski, welcome.
Hello all. Alrighty. So we were given the privilege to receive a grant. Just want to tell you a little bit about that grant. The North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources gave the town of Waxhaw a $60,000 grant for our downtown park. We are asking to use this wonderful funds towards our skate park, a multi-generational skating activity area for needed improvements. We are suggesting shade structures and also to fix retained water in the area by minimizing erosion. Here's, you can't really see it. The back end of the park is, we have hardly no shade in that area, so this will provide needed shade. And then also with the side areas of the skate park, it would provide erosion control with river rocks and planting along the area. The ask is to get y'all's okay to move forward with this grant. We have to give them the heads up that y'all are cool with it, and then we can move forward with the project.
Just to clarify, we have to notify the state what the project is.
What the
Can't just
project
say
is.
we're cool with it. And it has to meet certain guidelines, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just, I get you smiling. Come
I
on.
know.
Come
Y'all love to just make me.
Okay.
It has to be used for the downtown park. That's the one stipulation. Right. And it's a use it or lose it kind of grant. So we have to use it within.
It expires at the beginning of the next.
The next
session.
budget cycle.
Yeah, the next budget cycle. Yeah. So we're in a short window.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions for Ms. Sabinski?
She's already answered my question.
Okay. So, be happy to entertain a motion a motion that is worded properly, but it lets the state know that we're cool with this.
So moved.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept the scope of service, which includes the shade structures and minimizing erosion.
So moved.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we have 5-0. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next item up, audit engagement letter and communication from audit firm. This is Lisa White, finance director, and this is a formality we need to go through. Please explain.
Thank you. So as part of every audit, the auditors are required to communicate with you all, the board, and so that's what these letters are. The first one, the larger one, that's addressed to the town of Waxhaw is actually an engagement letter. So they're going to communicate with you all formally in writing twice, once before the audit begins and once after the audit is over. And if you remember, the town had the same auditor for over 20 years. I'm not sure really how long, but in March we went out for bid. We sent that RFP to I think 40 audit firms. We got 8 back, and we selected the audit firm of Green Finney. You all approved that contract in April. It was $21,100, which is the same price as the prior auditor charged us. So this now is them communicating with you all, trying to explain the understanding of what they're about to do. So these are kind of form letters. You probably don't remember seeing these, but every auditor sends these. The prior auditor sent them as well. So we're going to have this letter, and at the end of the audit, we're also going to have what's called a management letter, which is going to be to Greg and I, and we're going to give back our understanding of that the financial statements are ours. So our responsibility, we are responsible for the financial statements. Even if they assist us in doing it, we have to attest that there are financial statements and that we have the level of knowledge to prepare those financial statements. So even if they prepare them, they're ours. So this letter is laying out for you guys what the board's responsibility is, what the management responsibility is. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that a lot of times people think auditors are out there just trying to find fraud, but really what they're doing is expressing an opinion on our financial statements. So that is what an audit is for. They're going to report to you any errors, misstatements, or any reasons that they feel that our financial statements are not fairly presented according to generally accepted accounting principles. So I just want to make sure everybody reads these two letters. I know they're long and they have a lot of boilerplate, but it's important that we understand that, what our responsibilities are, and that they're not going to catch everything. And I want to point out that as we close our fiscal year, there's going to be some things that may have to change from the way we reported them last year. And so I just want to make sure you point out that that's our responsibility. Those financial statements have been our responsibility. So just make sure you read them, and then we'll talk about this probably as the year closes and we get some updates on how our fiscal year has ended. So if you have any questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them.
So more than just asking us to read, you're looking for a motion to accept and acknowledge the understanding the terms set forth in the engagement letter, so we can move forward. So, and if anybody wishes to, they after reading it, I sat down with Lisa and she walked me through it. So I mean, you can get any question answered in terms of what it really means, et cetera. But it's pretty commonplace practice. So, any questions for Lisa? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the engagement letter and receive the communications with as presented for the audit, and to confirm our receipt of the written communications from the audit firm.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Don't go too far, or is Greg up now? Next item up. Adopt fiscal year 2018-2019 budget ordinance and fee schedule. We've been on this topic for several months. So at this point in time, Greg Ferguson.
So included in your packet is the budget ordinance as prepared based on the work sessions that you've had over the last month and direction to staff. The budget ordinance as drafted and prepared has two things that are significant from a capital planning standpoint. One is the creation of a CIP, or capital improvement plan. The second is a small transportation plan. Those are two tools that are being recommended and hopefully put in place this year to look at some strategic planning for infrastructure, roads, facilities, and capital as the town moves into the next phase of its municipal life. Two of those items require that we consider how we pay for them. And so there are two revenue lines that are associated with one of those plans, one of which is the small transportation plan, and that is funded with the creation of a $25 municipal vehicle fee. That is set in state law as far as the maximum amount that can be charged, and it is per vehicle, motorized vehicle that's located in town. That cannot be increased. The only way that could ever be increased would be for the legislature to change state law and to increase that at the state level. So that's not something that's within local purview. The second item that the board discussed was whether or not it wished this year to look at the reinstatement of a residential solid waste fee. The town previously had an $80 per year solid waste fee, and so there was discussion and consideration of that this year. The ultimate direction that the board provided to staff was to come back with that in the form of an adjustment to the tax rate, and that is reflected in a 2.5 cent tax rate increase based on the tax rate. Those are the four major components of this budget. I think some other notable things that I'd like to mention is that the work that the town staff did at the department level this year and going through a very deliberate process to build this budget from the ground up, starting with zero and not with assumptions that we're going to come back with the same expenditure levels that we had last year. And in fact, that work was reflected in a large amount of dollars that were cut, over $500 to about $600,000 in expenditures that the departments contributed to try to make sure that this year's operating expenditures came in at a lower level. That's not easy work on this size budget, but they are to be commended for that work. And so they did approach this in a needs-based approach and not a wants-based approach. There's a lot of things that our community will have to address in the future, and so we're developing those programming needs for future years, but the departments really play a role this year. I do want to note that Lisa White came into the town staff in the month of December and jumped right into the budget preparation calendar and did an excellent job of understanding and learning where we were in the life of municipal budgeting and taking that by the horns and preparing, from scratch, really a new budgeting program. And so the process this year was very collaborative, and it was very much inclusive of making sure that our departments were engaged and involved in putting this budget together and being able to explain why those funds are needed. So just a note to thank Lisa for that, and then the department as it played a role. But lastly, I want to thank the board members that you've been engaged since January in working with the staff to try to work toward a set of goals for next year that certainly in funding those, you express priorities and express things that we need to work on. It's not necessarily an easy process always, and so there's always going to be differences of opinion on how to get to that final answer. But we thank you for the work that each of you did and the engagement, the questions that you had. We do welcome those, and we look forward to trying to make sure we're very engaged with you over the coming 12 months.
Okay, thank you. What do we want to do with it?
Can I ask, will you go back and correct the typo in the first line where it says be ordinained?
Sure.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget ordinance number 2018-013 as presented, that sets the tax rate at 38.5 per $100 of assessed value, and adopt the fee schedule as presented.
So we have a motion to adopt the fiscal year budget. Do we have further discussion? Just hang on a second.
No, just a clarification.
Okay, just let me acknowledge you for, let me finish my sentence and acknowledge, so go ahead.
We mean .385, not 38.5, yes?
Tax rate at 38.5 cents.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify and raise your right hand.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the motion carries 3-2. Thank you to everyone. That's been budgets are never easy. This one certainly wasn't, and I thank everybody for their active participation. Next item up is the approval of budget amendment for general fund sanitation, which is from the consent agenda. General fund sanitation expense line has $164,000 in it, and they need funding to move. This came from the consent agenda, so is there a question that needs to be directed to Lisa White on this? Commissioner Lee?
Lisa, can you tell me how we ended up, precisely how did we end up over budget here?
Over budget?
We need more money.
Well, when the budget is adopted at the beginning of the year, you don't know how much growth there's going to be.
Okay.
There was an average growth of about 25 homes a month. I'm not sure how the prior people who did that budget for fiscal year 18 calculated
We
it.
underestimated what would happen.
Sure, because, for example, in May, we had 41 new homes that they had to get trash cans and trash service for, which was a lot higher than what was budgeted for. So we're reaching the end of the year, and we need more money in that budget line.
This administrative contingency account line that you're suggesting we take the money out of, do we have money in that in the next budget?
Yes.
In case this happens again?
Yes, we always budget
For just this sort of reason?
for just this sort of reason. And we have the exact same amount in next year's budget as this year's budget. We always budget that so that we can cover unexpected items.
Okay. Are there any other expenses that might need to pull from that contingency line?
There could be. We're watching the budget right now. There are some salary and overtime issues in the police department that we're watching very closely. The staff is conserving the budget for the next year and not buying, they're only buying things that are absolutely necessary in the next month because we are very diligently watching every line item to make sure they don't go over. But if one of them gets very close, on the 26th, I'll come back to you and again ask to do a budget amendment to move from the contingency fund.
Are you confident that we will have enough money to cover potential contingencies and to finish this out? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just a point of clarity, I believe the growth rate used in the budget preparation last year was in the 5.5% range, and as we got the numbers back, it really grew at 6.7%. And that's the nature of trying to use back census. It's
Right.
it's an art, not a science.
And you're budgeting a year and ahead of time, and so you're
Yeah.
just using an estimate at the time, and so, estimates are never usually exact.
What did we use for this year? Going forward, did we use the same?
I don't know the number that we used actual growth rate for this year on the housing.
Those are
Well, I mean, each line is a different growth. I mean, for taxes, we only use a 1% growth because that's what the Union County tax assessor told us was our growth at the time. I think that growth will be more, but we could not budget higher than what they gave us the estimate on. Now, on the sanitation, I don't remember the percentage, but I got with Marion and Todd, and we tried to average what the growth in the last part of this year was. He might be able to answer better. You want to answer?
From July the 1st of 2017 to today, we added 311 new homes. We added 1,204 new residents, and that brings us up to a total of 5,818 solid waste customers. And since we added a new recycle cans, our recycling increased from 23% to 31%.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment for the general fund on sanitation.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item up is item 8 from the consent agenda, approval of fiber optic line encroachment agreement approval for Kensington Drive. Do we have a specific?
I'd just like to know a little more about this because I hadn't heard anything about it yet. I just want to understand what's going on.
Yeah, this is Dennis Rory, Development Services Director. Not too much more to provide other than the description. We were contacted maybe early April by a fiber optic design engineering firm with a request for an approval for a fiber optic line installation that basically spans or connects the Cuthbertson campus to the Kensington Elementary School campus to create basically a redundant line so that if the existing fiber optic line were to be severed, they have redundancy in that system. And so the time between April and today has been spent coordinating mainly the Kensington Drive portion, the proposed fiber installation with the Kensington Drive design plans, the road plans that we've been working on, to make sure that the buried depths for the fiber optic line would not be in the way of future work that the town would be doing for that road project. Actually, the line from the Kensington and 16 intersection back to Cuthbertson has already been installed. So NCDOT has already issued an encroachment agreement approval a couple of months ago.
Can I ask you, Dennis,
Sure.
are we going to have to, it says here that construction should take about a week. Will there be any road closures or anything that needs to happen around that?
I don't anticipate any road closures. What I would anticipate is just crews working along the shoulders of the road, but I'm not anticipating full closures or anything of that nature.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the encroachment agreement.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Last step, don't go too far, Dennis, or approval of the right-of-way encroachment for Blythe Creek grinder pump elimination.
Same thing. Can you just give me a brief sort of what this is, where this came about?
Yeah, so this is part of really the county's sewer upgrades, and they're taking some existing kind of grinder pumps offline and going with more of a kind of gravity feed system. And so there's places within the right-of-way where they will cross over into the town's town maintained right-of-way. And so as a part of that process, we're trying to kind of issue them an approval to do that work. It's largely about notification. Clearly not the attorney, but there's probably some issues around us actually officially approving them being in the right-of-way. So this is largely about notification, if you really think about it.
Is this for a new pumping facility, or
it's upgrades? It's just
upgrades to existing ones?
Upgrades to existing.
Okay. Do we have any idea how long this sort of work will take?
In total, I don't think I've seen I haven't committed a recent schedule to memory, but in total, I would anticipate it taking a few months for them to complete their entire work, the work within the right-of-way. Now, I think that would be weeks. You know, kind of, and it's going to be different places along the right-of-way, so it's not just one long stretch of one road. Okay. It's really small segments of small roads.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
That I'll entertain a motion to approve the right-of-way encroachment for Blythe Creek.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On the home stretch, okay, reports. I do have one bit of update. It's been an interesting week. As part of responsibility as the representative for Waxhaw on the CRTPO, we got notified as part of this regional period of a new item, CSX SG line rail siding grade separation, Collins Road crossing closure near Waxhaw. Caught us by surprise, caught the municipality of Mineral Springs by surprise, caught Union County by surprise. We've, since last Tuesday, have been doing some information gathering and actually culminated with and actually extended it to the Economic Development Executive Director from Monroe County, because rail siding is a very critical economic development activity with CSX as we go forward, and we had some activity that went on previously at Shannon Farms. With that, Mayor Becker, Commissioner Helms, and I have been working throughout the weekend, and actually last night and early this morning we confirmed, and we're first up going to our board with a joint statement that we would like to get in front of the CRTPO, and I'm just going to read it. But as Mayor Becker and Commissioner Helms and I said, it's been a long time coming where all three of us have agreed, and a big part of that was also due to Chris Platay and the Economic Development team to actually explain some of the situation there. So I'm going to read it so it's in the record. Comment on CSX siding regional tier non-highway project, spot ID R171148, and it's a construction of a 14,000-foot rail siding, and it included a grade separation at Collins Road. The jurisdictions of Waxhaw, Mineral Springs, and Union County understand the importance of and need for an additional rail siding. We view that as a major assist to economic development if done in concert with the short and long-term vision of the county's economic development work plan. That said, there's not been any analysis nor consideration of this project and its relationship to the regional transportation plan, and specifically the potential Waxhaw Parkway future project. A grade separation at Collins Road, where a few hundred cars maximum travel daily, may not represent the best solution to current challenges and projected needs. As an aside, I'll stop. We were told yesterday that, hey, would you be okay if we moved it down a road. And at that point in time, we kind of said, this isn't dial a bridge. We need a little bit more planning. And so I'll continue with the letter. No discussions have taken place between the economic development teams of CSX and Union County to discuss the importance of rail siding placement within that specific corridor, nor does it seem to take into account CSX's own layout for this area as suggested in the Duke Energy Site Readiness Study, Shannon Farm. The need for it to complement and provide for the local economic development potential is critical. We're concerned about protecting the land identified for future economic development and its need for rail siding access. Third bullet, no impact analysis has taken place to understand the value and impact on Mineral Springs, Waxhaw, and Union County. With so little information shared and so many unanswered questions of potential negative impacts on the region, we all believe that more discussion and study are needed. As such, the jurisdictions of Waxhaw, Mineral Springs, and Union County request that, 1, the Technical Committee, TCC, formally requests the NCDOT Rail Division to work with the region to develop a set of solutions that will positively impact the area's specific challenges, its economic development plans, vision, and the needs of CSX. Specifically, we'd like to see NCDOT commit to a study of need and benefit to the county and municipalities. Point 2, until the project is redefined with clarity, we recommend 0 local input points be allocated by the CRTPO to this project at this time. Mayor Becker is presenting to his board Tuesday night. Commissioner Helms will present to his board on Monday, and then we will jointly present this, assuming no major issues along the 3 entities, to the CRTPO and share with them that we really request that this not be scored with any points until we get clarity on it. So, comments, thoughts? I want to thank Commissioner Helms, Chris Platte, and Mayor Becker. It was kind of funny. Mayor Becker and I crossed each other unknowingly. He was on his way to graduation Saturday morning, and he was measuring rail siding. I was out going up Collins Road trying to figure out how long that bridge was really going to be and what the impact would be given the sunflower environmental issues on either side of Highway 75. And Richard Helms was out driving trying to get to the farmer's market. But, you know, a different thing. And he actually had a very serious family situation that he was dealing with. So I share that with everybody. Obviously, thoughts? Any? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem? That's all I have. You're up.
I do have
Burns?
One.
Sorry.
Burns. I do have one comment, and I just want to say about the budget, and my vote tonight against the budget is not any disrespect to any town staff. I respect what you do and the hard work, but I believe that each person on this board should come here independently with the research that they've done themselves, asking questions, getting information, factual data, and making that decision independently, each one of us. And my decision was based on the tax increase and the vehicle fee. I just could not, in all good conscience, approve that. The rest of the budget, you worked hard, and I agree with, and also I believe that there could have been more cuts, more tightening of the belts to not have to do one or the other of those. So that's my reasoning for not approving this budget.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee?
I could not, in good conscience, support the budget tonight because I believe we have a spending problem. And I believe...
Could you speak into the microphone,
Sorry.
please?
I could not, in good conscience, support the budget tonight because I believe we have a spending problem. And I believe by refusing to address that, we have just kicked the can down the road and extended that spending problem for another year. This budget was approved by the majority of this board by a vote of 3-2. Mr. Burrell, Ms. Weselick, and Ms. McMillan just raised your taxes, added a fee, and did so without approving.
Excuse me, the board raised it. We operate as one board. Everybody knows who voted, but but the board operates as one board. The board has decided to raise taxes.
Without approving, requesting, or offering a single cut to this budget. I'm done.
Commissioner Westlake?
First, I would like to thank Greg and the staff for all their hard work on the budget. We are fortunate to have a staff with such great experience, education, and certifications. I would never claim to know more than you in your field of expertise, so I thank you for the patience with this board. I have spent the last 6 months learning, observing, and assessing the needs of the town, and have used that information to determine what I believe we need to do to move forward. Unfortunately, we have not been able to do the big things we need to do to tackle our problems because we've wasted time with personal agendas and whatever the drama of the month is. We've gotten in the weeds where we don't belong, and this is not the role of the board. I ran for office because we...
Hang on, just let's stay away from
Okay.
calling out personal agendas and everything. We operate as one board, and what is discussed at the board meeting is the agenda of the board and everybody on the board.
I ran for office because we have one shot to get the rest of this right before the last piece of land is developed. I did not run for an office on a platform of no growth. I ran on a platform of smart growth. What has been very frustrating for me is how this board has been unable to make the decisions we want to make because we are strapped by zoning or decisions made in the past or by plans which are currently in place. These factors have put us in a position where we cannot say no because the plans say yes. What the budget process has done is taught us how important it is that we balance our tax base with more commercial development. We are on the right track with our finances, but we now must have corrected plans in place to support economic development and the type of growth we need. We will soon have our first draft of the UDO, which will help greatly in this area, but this will still be a long process. So I ask this board to discuss at the board retreat next month making immediate amendments to the land use and comprehensive plan that will help direct staff and developers to the type of development we need and don't need in Waxhaw. We do not have time for any more consultants or year-long committee meetings. We must make the tough decisions and changes now on our own to steer the ship before it is too late to design the Waxhaw we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burrow?
Yes, thank you. I think I look at this more optimistically. I think when I look at the budgets 2 years ago and a year ago and see the progress that's been made, I'm really looking forward to the next cycle of budgeting and, making sure that we stay on track, that we use our new UDO, that we use a new comprehensive plan to keep us going in that right direction that we're going in now. Thank you.
Thank you. Manager Ferguson, you want to reconfirm that you do not have a report for tonight?
I do not tonight.
Okay, thank you. We have one person up for public comments on a general nature, Edwin Elam.
Since I've already spoken before, protocol has already been established, so I will dispense with that and say that courage can easily be mixed or missed in times like these. We know that 3 of you have been fighting for all of Waxhaw as we've sat here for the last couple of years in all of these meetings, and we appreciate it very, very much. We've seen the improvements in the staff and the quality of education that have actually been brought to bear to help to solve some of these issues that our towns now face. We know that there are a lot of very, very smart people in Waxhaw and people who have had experiences similar to yours who understand the issues better than we've even asked some of them. We also remain optimistic for the 3 who address the serious issue of the future, both in the quality of life and in the way of life that we all enjoy in the midst of the growth as called for by every marker known at this space and time in history. Your attention to the budget milestones and the parks that service our communities and in all of our communities, and not just those who make noise of a few. You have tried to listen to the hearts of many, since all of us have paid the taxes for all of these things that we address. And we hope that you will continue to remain for looking at those who are the masses. It was Harriet Beecher Stowe who said that it is your job to actually work for the weak. The strong can take care of themselves, but the weak really don't have a voice. And we straddle that fence to help communicate that to the people who are not here at this meeting. We thank God for the three of you who have actually been seemingly learned some lessons of the past. Some of us who have moved here in the last few years, and those of us who've had family here for over 100 years that we speak for, every last one of them. And we want you to know that we do realize that it was not this board or the previous board that created many of these issues and problems. We see you balancing, we see you battling over other things that have actually fulfilled various mandates, and some of you have not even realized that this board is even correcting some of the lies and liars of the past. But we understand also that there are some of you that hate us, and we don't understand why you hate us. So.
Pause a minute. Pause a minute. Do not accuse anybody on this board of hating anybody. Please, treat the board with respect.
We are treating the board with respect.
Do not accuse anybody of hating anyone.
And any person standing with any of the foolishness. We saw a video this past week on someone addressing the color of a person's skin, that they have an agenda for helping those who have not had a voice to express before this body. Shameful, shameful, shameful. And we would ask that you would simply lift the bar of the agendas that you have actually called about this research that you are doing, and let the professionals do the research that needs to be done. We know that there are things that are actually being addressed. We are here.
You're at 3. You're at 3 minutes.
As I wind up with my comments, we are also realizing that it is not us who are standing at the tax assessor's office asking them to reduce our property values and trying to perpetrate a fraud that we actually have so much that we are seeing with these individuals who are doing these comments who actually are not paying their tax portion worth. So we pay our taxes.
Time's up.
Thank you very much.
Time's up.
We appreciate it, and the empire will
Time's up.
strike back.
So thank you. I am going to reflect. I don't thank God for all three. I thank God for the whole board and the staff that we have. Everybody serves a purpose on this board. We may not agree. We may be in a hurry to get out of here right now. But we are all doing, and we all have the interest of Waxhaw at heart, and we need to keep that in mind and elevate our discourse to more of a respectful discourse. With that, I will entertain a motion. We have nothing for closed session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go.